Donald Trump's visit to South Korea has already been ruined as the people there are giving him the welcome he deserves. Now, if you didn't know, Donald Trump is headed to South Korea.
Protests breaking out in Seoul, South Korea, as Donald Trump landed in Malaysia for a trip to Asia, where Donald Trump intends to further embarrass and humiliate the United States and attack our allies. The protest you saw there in South Korea was largely over the fact that Donald Trump is trying to extort South Korea out of $350 billion and says, if you don't pay us, America won't consider you a relying trading partner. And who even knows where that $350 billion is going to, and South Korea is not agreeing to that. Donald Trump, when he arrived in Malaysia, started doing a weird dance in front of the people of Malaysia. It was creepy and strange. It reminds me a lot of the dances that he would do with Jeffrey Epstein back in the 90s and early 2000s. Here, play this clip right here. Then Donald Trump gave a humiliating speech in Malaysia where he started whining about the escalator not working when he was at the United Nations and how his teleprompter didn't work. Again, utterly humiliating. Here, play this clip.
I won't forget that day because it was one of the first wars that I got involved in. And I love doing it. It's like, I shouldn't say it's a hobby because it's so much more serious than a hobby, but it's something that I'm good at, and it's something I love to do. The United Nations should be doing this, but they don't do it. You know, they don't do it. They turned off my teleprompter when I made a speech. I had to make a speech without a teleprompter. They're good at that. The escalator wasn't working too well. It came to a complete halt. But
we got to hear from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent this morning, who was accompanying Donald Trump on this trip to Asia. Bessent reminded everybody that Donald Trump doesn't care what's happening in the United States right now. According to Bessent, he's just focused on what's happening in the Pacific. And just to quote it directly, what's happening in North America is taking second fiddle to Trump's leadership in the Pacific. Here, play this clip.
Whatever is going on back in North America, I think, is taking second fiddle to President Trump's leadership out here in the Pacific.
Well, I wouldn't say there's leadership in the Pacific. I would say he's further humiliating and degrading American strength out in the Pacific and further hurting Americans. But I guess issues like the government shutdown, that 20 million Americans are being ripped off of healthcare, that Americans can't afford groceries, that Americans are psychologically tortured living paycheck to paycheck right now. I guess all of that doesn't really matter to the Trump regime. But what did matter is on his trip to Malaysia,
the majority of people in South Korea at one point were pro-Trump, but that all changed last month, and Donald Trump is on his way to Korea this week. And, well, the people, they don't want him here. These photos come from a mutual of mine, yes, in my backyard, tagged below. Let's see what they're doing over there. Yesterday, an anti-Trump protest took place in the streets, and this is just a portion of it. You can see the photos. Trump has no place at APEC, no to Trump's visit. This is robbery, not negotiation. And still going through the protest, same thing. Also, that little robber guy, I love it, chef's kiss. And then across the rest of the city and everywhere else that Donald Trump is going to be visiting are these signs. Now, this has been translated from Korean to English for us, but you see $350 billion rejected investment in U.S. The people of Korea's economic sovereignty will protect you. Now, we know Donald Trump's second term is substantially different than his first term, and people, obviously, anywhere that he's gone this time in the world, with the exception of the Middle East, have held protests against him.
We have some major news right now that most media companies aren't talking about, and that's anti-Trump protests have broken out across Seoul, South Korea, and are scheduled to occur over the next week as Donald Trump is in East Asia for the major APEC summit. South Korean authorities are actually ramping up security as there are over 12 anti-Trump protests planned this week because of Donald Trump's tariffs. A total of 16 protest notifications have been filed by 13 separate organizations for the APEC Economic Leaders Week. And the organizing committee for the International People's Response Against APEC 2025, consisting of about 35 left-leaning political parties, are planning to hold massive rallies and press conferences in Seoul and other parts of South Korea on Wednesday and Friday as flagship events. Quote, "The whole world is unable to respond to Trump's ruthless tariff war and is being defeated one by one. We will march in international solidarity demonstration, chanting slogans such as anti-Trump." That's a quote from these organizers. Most media is not covering it. I will subscribe to support my work. Link in bio at my Substack. Follow along for more.
To meet with the leaders of China and discuss a possible trade deal. But upon Trump's arrival, he is going to be greeted by no Trump protests across the country. Take a look at this. This is everywhere in South Korea right now. No Trump protests, where they're not only protesting Donald Trump, but they're also mocking him. So we're going to have new material for Trump when this is over. But more importantly, they're protesting Donald Trump's negotiation tactics. They don't believe that these are trade negotiations. They believe that Donald Trump is trying to bully their country and essentially steal from them. And they're standing up where their leaders will not. And this is a continuation of what we've seen around the globe, in the UK, in Canada, here in the US. Donald Trump is being greeted exactly the way he should be. And we need to continue this, but then harness this energy and vote next November. But Donald Trump is going to be spitting ketchup later.
Hi guys, so when Trump landed in Asia, the air wasn't filled with cheers, it was filled with anger. South Koreans poured into the streets waving banners and shouting "No Trump" out of pain. Their people have just been detained in America after that Hyundai plant raid. Families separated, dignity is questioned, and now the man at the center of it all stood smiling at the camera. To them, it wasn't diplomacy, it was betrayal dressed in protocol. I am Tiana and you are watching Tiana's React. Well, let's dive in and see their reactions to this.
Mr. President, thank you for doing this. Are you and President Trump going to be able to sign a trade deal while he's here in your country?
이성적으로 충분히 납득할 수 있는 합리적인 결과에 결국은 이렇게 될 것이다 라고 믿습니다.
But there are voices in the United States who say this is tantamount to a mafia shakedown, that it's extortion to be asking close allies to pay up or else the tariffs are going to get jacked up through the roof. Where do you stand on that issue?
결국은 이성적으로 납득할 수 있는 합리적 결론에 이르게 될 것이다. 우리는 동맹이고 상식과 이성을 가진 존재들이니까요.
Given that you have President Trump coming to your country, do you believe that a meeting will happen between President Trump and Kim Jong-un?
북미가 전격적으로 만날 수 있다면 전적으로 환영하고 적극적으로 지원할 생각입니다.
If Marshal Kim is listening to this interview right now, what's your message to him?
만나고 대화하는 것이 지금까지 쌓여있는 많은 문제들을 해결하는 첫 출발점이 될 것이다. 매우 유익한 기회가 될 거다. 이렇게 얘기하고 싶습니다.
South Korea erupts in anger. Trump effigy beaten in Seoul. Streets explode. Protesters scream, "Revenge on USA." After US humiliates ally. South Korea protest takes unique turn. Thousands of furious protesters marched in Seoul on Saturday, denouncing the United States. The anti-US rally was organized by the Candlelight Action Group at Gwanghwamun. Crowds shouted slogans like, "Trump leave the earth," and "Let us take revenge on USA." Placards read, "Condemn the United States," and "Dismiss People Power Party immediately." A Gate effigy of Donald Trump was struck with toy hammers by angry demonstrators. Attached signs to the effigy demanded, "Cut off diplomatic ties with Washington instantly." One protester said, as a Korean citizen, they felt deeply humiliated by U.S. actions. Another said it was shameful to see Koreans chained and arrested on foreign soil. Demonstrators accused the U.S. of treating Korea as a business target, not an ally. Some warned Washington's arrogance will backfire and lead to global diplomatic isolation. The anger followed return of 300 Korean workers detained recently in United States. They had been arrested at Hyundai's EV battery plant construction site in Georgia. U.S. immigration agents accused the employees of working illegally without proper visa permits. The workers were detained in Atlanta, later released and allowed voluntary return home. A special Korean air charter flight carried them back from Atlanta to Seoul. GSE and SC admitted administrative mistakes while Hyundai issued regret over the scandal.
By Lee Jae-myung, president of South KE. We're currently negotiating to make sure the visa issuance process related to U.S.-bound investment can operate normally, whether that means securing more visa quota or creating a new category altogether. I believe that if there's a practical need on the U.S. side, that issue could be resolved. But under the current circumstances, Korean companies can't help but hesitate when they consider direct investment in the U.S.
South Korea's foreign minister promised to secure future visa assurances from Washington. A new joint U.S.-Korea working group will create updated visa changes for workers. So, will investment in U.S. be at risk? Stay tuned with Politico Style to know more.
For the world, it was another presidential visit, but for many South Koreans, it was a reminder that power can smile in your face while breaking your heart behind the scenes. The tension, the tears, the truth is all boiling under, and this is just the beginning. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Please do well to like, share, and of course, subscribe to keep the channel moving. Till next time.